Hi, welcome to another video. This is Mr. Chow from EnglishTuition.com. Okay, so what are we going to do for today's video? Now, previously I've written a guide for parents as to how to get the most out of your tuition arrangements. Now, I've been wanting to do this guide for the longest time. It's only recently that I managed to sit down and created the PDF. So I thought I would do a follow-up video for those who do not have the time to sit through or read the PDF, and let's just quickly go through the important points of the guide. Hopefully you get something out of it, something very useful. All right, let's start with a quick brief introduction. Right, so this guide is based on my teaching experiences for the past 8 years or so. I only teach English. All right, and first question that you may have at the top of your mind, right? What is the group size that is good for my child? So we have a few options: one-to-one, small group, or big group. When we say small group, typically is not more than 6. My small groups are only between 1 to 3 because I teach at my house. Okay, and big groups will be anything more than 6. All right. Now, one-to-one, parents typically think that it's advantageous because the tutor will be able to give your child undivided attention. Okay, but there are also some disadvantages, right? For example, one-to-one tend to be more expensive, all right? And if the child does not pay attention during the lesson, then the entire lesson is wasted because the tutor cannot turn his or her attention to another student, right? And if the child just refuses to learn, then that poses a problem for everyone. Okay, I think personally, I prefer small groups, right? So I only teach small groups. But because my groups are small, sometimes I start a group with 1 student and eventually second student join, third student join, all right? But I think the main reason why I prefer this arrangement is because it's the right balance, right? Fees are more affordable for everyone, okay? And the group is not so big, right? And the child have a bit of company, right? If he sees everybody is working, there are other students who are also working hard, then maybe they should work hard as well. Okay, and I think because it's small group, the tutor can still track the progress of the students very accurately, all right? And then we customize our teaching accordingly. We can adjust the pace, right? As for big groups sometimes can be very problematic, right? The advantage is that it's the most affordable of all the options, because big group tuition centers or tutors can accept less fees, right, in order to start the tuition, right? But the problem is more difficult to track the students' progress from the tutor's point of view. Small students, difficult to call out, students who are not learning, not submitting their work, not paying attention, right? There's just so many of them, right? There may be some higher chance of disruptors in the class. They may end up disrupting the group, and then it becomes a classroom management issue. Okay, so these are some of the disadvantages. So I believe small group is still the best way forward. Okay, but feel free to try out the different options. Okay, now so every now and then I get parents who come and ask me, how can they help to support the tutor? Well, let's just start by identifying the 3 types of parents that we, as private tutors, we personally encounter. Okay, first, right, that parents who know a little bit about the subject and they take an active interest in the child's progress. Now, 99% of the students who come to me for tuition, their parents actually don't know a lot about the subject, and maybe they know a lot, but they don't know how to teach. All right, okay, and but they do take an active interest in the child's progress, and I think this is always the best way to go about tracking the child's progress, because the child wants to know that the parents do care about their work, right? And because parents know a little bit about the subject, they can communicate with the tutor, right? And they understand what are the problems and where the child stands, okay, and what's the plan we have moving forward. All right. Second group, okay, the parents are, there are parents who know nothing, zero, absolutely nothing about the subject, but they still take an active interest in the child's progress. Now, the problem with parents who know nothing about the subject is that they don't know how to review the child's work, right? So even if they pick up the tuition file with all the homework that they've done, all the work that they've done during lessons, they don't know what's happening, right? They don't know whether the tutor is teaching correctly or not because they have zero knowledge. Okay, but I think they can still do a lot of things to help support the child progress. We'll talk about that later. Okay, and then finally we have parents who know nothing about the subject and does not take an interest in the child's progress. And I think this is the worst case scenario, okay, because the parents' point of view is that because I don't know about the subject, even if I review, I also don't know. So why should I take an active interest in the child's progress? And typically, their behavior or their decisions will be, they will just send their children to multiple tutors, right? They don't review the schoolwork because they claim they know nothing. They don't communicate with the tutors, right? Because they don't take an active interest in the child's progress. So all they see is the end result, right? What's on the result slip. So if they go for a few months and then mid-year exam comes and they see the result, how come C6? How come no improvement? Well, it may appear that there's no improvement on the result slip, but if you review the homework of the child very carefully, you will be able to see that the child sometimes is making some progress. All right, it could be other reasons why the child is not showing the results. Maybe the paper is very hard. Okay, maybe it was a WA weighted assessment with just a small test, okay, that focuses on the child's weakness, right? When the child could have improved in other areas. All right, so these are possible scenarios that can happen, right? But so the problem is if the parents they don't take an active interest, they will never know, right? They will always think that, oh, no improvement. Okay, so let's jump from tutor to tutor to tutor. So personally, I'm very wary if the student comes to me and say that they've changed numerous tutors. Okay, so because it's not logical, right? If you think about it, how can it be? You change so many tutors and it's always the tutor's fault, right? So it means that both parents and students, maybe they have not been able to accept the feedback that or identify the issues at the root. It may not be the tutor's fault, right? But if you don't take an active interest, how do you know that you're not changing from a not so good tutor how do you know that you're not changing from a very good tutor to a not so good tutor, right? Because you don't even review the child's work. Okay, so this is the parents don't want to belong to that group, right? So whether you have content knowledge or no content knowledge, always try to take an active interest, right? So now, but if you don't have knowledge about the subject, then what can you do, right? You can try talking to the tutor, right? Try to communicate more with the tutor. The tutor will give you feedback as to how your child is doing, right? And even if you don't know much about the subject, just effort of taking the child's work, flipping through, okay, will make a difference, because the child will know, right, that hey, actually somebody is watching this, right? Somebody is looking at my work, right? Whether I believe most parents don't scold their kids nowadays, right? But I think deep down they know that, oh, my parents care, right? They watch the actions of the parents and they say, I better work hard because I know my parents are watching. Okay. Okay. Now, the last part of the guide, I talked about some of the things that parents can do, right, and should do to support their children. Right. First of all, you can ensure that the schoolwork is completed, and you don't actually need content knowledge, right? You don't need to know, right, what English is all about. Okay, and you can make sure that the homework is completed. Okay, let's make sure the child sits down, complete the homework on a weekly basis, because if the work is not done, the child comes next week, homework not done, next week homework not done. First of all, a lot of time is wasted. Second of all, the homework snowball to the point that the child gives up. I'm not going to do it, right? Okay. Second suggestion, right? Parents can try to engage the child in other home-based learning activities. All right. So I mean, simple things like going to the library to borrow books, so that they can read more. Watching documentaries on TV instead of watching all the YouTube useless content. Some of it are quite useless, right? Having meaningful conversations at home, right, about current affairs over the dinner table. Right? This will certainly help a child to improve his or her oral skills. Like I said, I always tell my students that they should not expect the tuition to be like magic pills, meaning they just come here thinking that after 1.5 hours or 2 hours of lessons, their grades will improve. Well, even if you do nothing and just come for tuition, you will still make progress. Okay, but if you want to really accelerate that progress, okay, then part of the learning needs to take place at home. Okay, because 1.5 hours to 2 hours per week is not a lot of time. Right, and language is a subject that needs practice. Right, you need to practice constantly. Okay. The next thing, right, acquiring feedback from tutors, right? Like I said, some parents only look at the results, they don't listen to feedback. Okay, I personally provide feedback to parents every 3 to 6 months. I have, in fact, just a couple of weeks ago, okay, we've conducted the mid-year mock assessment, right? So even if parents don't ask for the feedback, I will still use the mock assessment as an opportunity to provide them with the feedback. So if parents can talk to the tutors, right, they can find out whether are we on the same page or not regarding the child's progress and learning abilities, right? If you are on the same page, same issues, right, then we can stand united, okay, and attack those areas together, and eventually the person who benefits most will be the child. All right. Okay, and finally, reinforcing positive habits at home. Right, these are the things that as tutors or teachers we have zero control over, right? Things like not spending too much time playing mobile games, and sleeping early so that they don't wake up late and with eye bags, and then they cannot concentrate during the lesson. Having regular exercise is to keep their energy up so they don't put on too much weight, become very lethargic. Eating well, because I have some students who always skip breakfast, okay, have eating disorders, etc. And all these things have a great impact on a child's learning. Right? I never imagine as a private tutor that sometimes I have to talk about all these eating habits, nutrition, exercise. The problem is these issues are the root causes, right? So if you don't tackle them, the kid is always going to come, unfocused, right? And you always have all these issues, and it affects their learning. Right? Okay. So with that said, I think there are just a few things that I would like to remind parents not to do. Okay. First thing, right? Both tutors and parents should not undermine each other's authority. I know there can be disagreements, but try not to tell the kid things like listen to mommy, don't listen to your tutor. The tutor should not do likewise, and say listen to me, don't listen to your parents. Things like that, right? They need to work together to get the best results. Okay. So mutual respect should be observed at all times. Parents should also not become too defensive. I have all these barriers coming up when receiving feedback from teachers or tutors, right? We all have the best interest of the child at heart. Okay, and feedback is meant to be constructive and to aid in the child's growth. So don't take it personal and don't get offended. Don't take offense. Okay, and finally, don't forget to pay your tutor. Right, I sometimes have to send numerous reminders, okay, to chase for payment, because just like everyone else, all right, no one likes to work for a boss who forgets to pay salaries, right? We need to eat. Yeah. But I think bottom line is we spend a lot of time teaching the kids, preparing materials, and so on and so forth. Okay, and we don't want to have to spend more time on administrative stuff. Okay, to conclude, right? Okay, as you can see, learning can take place anywhere, right? It doesn't just have to be restricted to tuition. Okay, it can be recreational and educational at the same time. Okay, like trips to the libraries, some kids don't see as work, right? They do enjoy the reading. It's an outing. They go, no, nice air condition. Nowadays our libraries are very nice. Okay, and they can go there to relieve stress. Pick out, you know, the books that interest them the most. All right. Sometimes watching documentaries as a family can help strengthen bonds. Things like that. And all these activities. So in sum, I think we are all in agreement that the children, they grow up very fast. In fact, since I've been teaching 8 years, some of the kids that I've taught, the longest kids that I started teaching was since started in primary 6 and all the way to O levels, and they graduate from O levels. So there's at least 5-6 years with them, and just, you know, when past so fast the time. Okay, so the point is we should appreciate the time that we get to spend with these kids on their learning journeys while they are young. So hopefully, you know, let's not forgo this golden period, this opportunity. All right, with that, we have come to the end of the video. Okay, for those of you who would like to read this PDF guide, I'll leave a link in the description somewhere in below in this video. Hopefully you got, you know, some useful information out of this. All right, and if you like this video, do remember to leave a like and a subscribe, and also share this with other parents if you think that you know someone who can benefit from this guide. Okay, with that, thanks for watching and listening. I hope that you know, your child will have a smoother learning journey, okay, and achieve better academic results. All right, so with that said, thanks for watching again, and I'll see you soon. All right, bye bye.